Hello gamers, welcome back to another free-to-play Ultimate Iron Man Progress video. First up, I want to give a GZ to Halcyon Seed on maxing your free-to-play Reddit accounts. Yippee. Next, I want to give a big GZ to Paparia on getting 200 mil woodcut on his free-to-play UIM woodcutting pure accounts. Absolute beast, especially with only using a steel and black axe. And finally, I want to give a huge GZ to Never Miss on being the second matched free-to-play hardcore Iron Man. Huge accomplishment. Hope to see some more gains in the future. So in my last video, I was still working on base 90s. I only had 2 levels left, which were Prayer and Rune Crafting. So sent some Boneyard, got 90 Prayer pretty quickly. And so the big goal then was Rune Crafting. So in the past, I've done a lot of earth rune crafting, and that's mostly because doing the minotaurs and the body rune crafting method sort of left a bad taste in my mouth the last time I did it, mostly because I was killing minotaurs with melee, and it's a really bad method when you kill these things with melee, because you can't, get them all to you at the same time. Range is just much easier, and so I figured I already had some post 99 range XP, just from doing a little bit of cows at the crafting guild at one point, and it seemed like it'd be an interesting thing to try here. So I figured I'd grab a bow. I bought a couple hundred thousand, or sorry, no, I just bought a couple thousand bronze arrows, I think, and just gave this method a try. And honestly, I ended up enjoying this a lot more than I thought I would. It's really easy to just click the Minotaurs, only grab the runecrafting related supplies, ignoring all of the bones just because I can't be bothered. And it's pretty easy, it's just a 3-stitch cycle, shoot the minnows all around you. You can be active like I'm doing here, but another sort of AFK method you can do is you just tag them all to you because it's a multi-combat area, and then you can just sit there and auto-retaliate until you kill all of them. But yeah, I was getting around 35k an hour here. It got me the supplies I needed for 90 rune crafting, and so ended up sending that a couple weeks ago, and that got me 90 for the base 90s. For some reason, I thought that this was going to take me a lot longer. I thought it was going to take me to like July to get base 90s, but I ended up getting it like the first week of June, which was pretty cool. Love to see that. And so now I can go back to Hill Giants. And then speaking about how much I enjoyed this method, I'm sort of thinking now that in terms of planning to match, that I'm probably going to be doing minnows for the supplies for 99 runecraft. I think what I'll still do is I'll bring earth runecrafting supplies when I'm doing boneyard, just because I don't want to bring bone fragments or like a really large noted essence stack into the wilderness. I know Boneyard's pretty safe, but I just don't personally feel comfortable doing that. So until I get 99 prayer, I'll likely still be doing earth rune crafting. But then on the final 99 rune crafting grind, I think I'm going to do this method. So it's sort of funny. Since my last video, I had talked about how free-to-play looks like it's not going to be getting any major updates in the next year or so. And of course, since that video 2 months ago, there's been a couple pretty big updates for free-to-play. I just got updates for the game in general, but they affect free-to-play. So first one was that combat rebalance update that came out, I think about a month ago now. The thing that really affected free-to-play there is that, so I guess every monster in game had elemental weaknesses, or at least some of them did. And so Jagex wanted to update that list, add more elemental weaknesses to different monsters throughout the game. Most notable for free to play being the Ice Giants and Moss Giants. You may have seen some footage already, but Now, doing fire spells, especially like Fire Blast and Ice Giants, can get you like 70k magic XP an hour. Moss Giants, probably also much higher XP than they used to be with Magic. Magic's still a zero time skill, but it adds a nice alternative for players who don't get zero time Magic all the way to 99. For example, those who don't telegraph Superheat, or for whatever other reason aren't able to get 99 Magic through splashing or any other types of spells. Something kind of interesting to note with this, though, is it used to be that if you wanted to do combat magic, your best XP would be Crumble Undead with Ankus, but it does seem like now that using magic to kill Moss Giants is going to be better. The second update to get into is the updates that Jacket's made to Prayer, specifically the 5% prayers. So in the past, if you wanted to use Prayer in free-to-play, it generally meant that you were going to be Pray Flicking. This is just because free-to-play hasn't ever really had great Prayer bonus equipment, nor have we had anything like Prayer Potions. So because of this, the meta with Prayer was always just to Pray Flick, which meant that you didn't actually need high Prayer level, just because it wasn't going to be draining very quickly, if at all. However, with the new update, the 5% prayers now drain much slower than they used to. So this has sort of introduced the possibility of just holding down the 5% prayers, especially if you just grab some of the free-to-play prayer gear like monk robes, which make a small difference, but not even that much. And so this is sort of what you're seeing here in this clip, is how I've been doing hill giants recently. Generally, back when Prey Flicking was the meta, I would really only Prey Flick hill giants when I was very focused, and then otherwise I just wouldn't use Prayer at all. But now I've gone ahead and I grabbed a Monk Robe Bottom, and I just keep Prayer down with um, the 5% strength and 5% attack prayers, like Clarity of Thought or some kind of reflexes, I don't remember the name. But this has actually been pretty nice. It means I'm generally getting a nice slight boost to DPS here. And because at the Hill Giant spot, the Sithreed Abbey, which has an altar, is only a few steps away, it's really easy to just restore prayer and get right back to killing Hill Giants. So this is likely what I'm going to be doing for the rest of my time here. I will likely switch to the 15% prayers if I'm, for example, if I'm like streaming, or maybe if I'm going for an hour record or a 6-hour record. But for the most part, this update sort of benefits the account, so it's what I'm going to be doing into the future. So then the next update, and the update that most affects the free-to-play Iron Man meta, is the update to the Telegraph spell. So I guess a bunch of pay-to players have been complaining about how slow the Telegraph spell is, particularly when doing activities like the Mage Training Arena. And so because of that, Jaget's decided to buff the Telegraph spell by removing the delay and increasing the speed of which the spell actually works. So in the past, whenever you would cast the Telegraph spell, your character would be stuck and wouldn't be able to move or log out or do anything until the spell was complete. But that in that time, you were essentially guaranteed to telegraph whatever item you were picking up. So it would just take that long that, while you were waiting, you would finish the telegraph. And this is part of what made telegraphing gnats in the wilderness risky, was that if you casted the telegraph spell and then somebody logged in on you, there's essentially nothing you could do until the telegraph spell was completed being cast. This includes, logging out, run away, eating food. You couldn't do any of that. You couldn't even see the damage your character was taking until the spell was complete, and then you would see, especially if it was multiple people, all the damage would stack at once. So with this update, you can pretty much cast it, and then the moment you cast the spell, you can do whatever you want. You can still log out. You can still move around, eat food. However, you do have to wait for the spell to complete and for the item that you're grabbing to be picked up before it actually gets into your inventory. So this is sort of nice. It definitely speeds up telegrabbing. The EHP rate just got increased for smithing from 24k to 25k, which assumes you'll be double hopping and grabbing the nets. I came up here to test it out sort of early on after the update. This isn't the main account. This is an alt account that I use. It's just a red, so I bought a couple of law runes and figured I'd give it a test. It's definitely much faster this way, so if I do any telegrabbing in the future, it's likely going to be doing this. But there's a chance that I might not be telegramming again, and that's sort of what I'm going to get into next. So over the past couple months to a year now, I've essentially been doing the same hill giant loop of killing the hill giants, killing Obor, telegrabbing, superheating, and repeating that sort of combat smithing process. Now, this has been good. I've been getting a lot of XP, I've been getting a lot of levels, but I've sort of come to the decision that I am done telegrabbing. And don't really I don't tie this at all to the Telegram update that just happened. I tie it more to the sense that I don't like telegramming, and because of that, I think I'm just noticing overall that yeah, I'm getting to superheat and do all the efficient methods, but because there is that time, and because there's just the general idea that I have to go into the wilderness with stuff that I don't want to lose, it just generally affects how I'm playing in a negative way. So, for example, if I am killing Obor on a Saturday, and I know that telegraphing is next, and I know that, the next day or that night's going to be a weekend, and there are going to be more PKers active, it makes me not want to do the telegraphing activity until like a weekday when less people are up there. And this sort of sucks because then that means in that time I'm just not going to be doing anything in game. I'm just going to log out and play some other game or do some other thing. And so it sort of affects just like the overall XP I'm gaining per week, per month, etc. So I'm making the decision now that I've done plenty of telegraphing already. I already have a lot of XP, and so I think I'm going to switch to Ring of Forging Smithing. So, for those of you that don't remember, the Craft the Clue 3 event came out about a year ago, maybe a bit more. And as part of that event, you get access to the Varrock West Bank Vault, which has the Ruby Ring spawn. And so it makes getting Rings of Forging very easy. You just collect the rings and walk up to the GE and have the guy make them for you. And I've done a decent amount of Ring of Forging smithing in the past. It's been a couple of years, definitely, but even though the method's only like 13k smithing XP an hour, it's something that I can just do. Like I don't have to kill monsters for the drops. I don't need to telegrab. I can just go do it, and I can do it for as long as I want. And that's sort of always been the way that I like playing this game, is just being able to get XP. Like the combat smithing loop has been nice, but at the end of the day, I just really don't want to keep doing it, especially with just how long it's gonna make everything take. I want to get some 99s out of the way. I don't want to, or rather, it's gotten old getting all these different skills slowly, but all at once. And so that's sort of what the rest of this account's looking like. So by deciding to do Ring of Forging Smithing, there are a few items that I need to sort of address with that. So first of all, because it requires way less law runes that way, it means that I don't need to return to Ogresses. It means that I can send Hill Giants all the way to Matt's Melees. And this is really nice because I value the prayer XP I'm getting at Hill Giants way more than I value the smithing XP that I'd be getting with Ogresses. It also means that magic is no longer going to be zero time. And sort of, I just lucky for myself, this got addressed with that magic update and the combat rebalance. So I'm slowly starting to pick up the chaos and death runes that I'm getting from Hill Giants, and I've done some math already, and I think I'm going to be able to either Fire Strike or more likely Firebolt my way through 99 Magic. I still need to do the math though, so I need to figure out still all the superheating I'll be able to do with just the nature runes I get from Hill Giants and Obor. I also need to factor in all of the law runes I'll be getting, so those will be split up between the Ring of Forging and the crafting, which those use Faldo teleports. But I'm also gonna have, and from the math I did, I'm gonna have about 7 to 8,000 extra law runes after that, which is likely going to be used for rune crafting. So those will be Varatellis that I need to take consideration for. And so once all that magic XP is done with, then I just need to factor in how many runes I need to buy for combat maging, which I should have plenty of GP. I have a bit more than like 13 mil, and by the time I'm done with Matt's melees, I'll probably have like at least 15 mil. And doing body runes with the Minotaurs is sort of nice because minimizing how many Chronicle pages I'm going to need to buy to finish rune crafting. So I should still have enough. In the event that I don't, though, I can always just go back to Odris's and send a few hours there just to get the GP. But yeah, so that's sort of what the future timeline is looking like. And of course, since I'm still here at Hill Giants, celebrating a nice little 99 HP achievement. This is pretty cool. It's my 699. It's my second zero time 99 still, which is pretty neat after, mining. So I'm gonna be sticking around here. I think the plan for now is that I'm gonna get 99 attack, and then from there I'm gonna try to use up all the runes and do a bit of that Ring of Forging method. See how much I like it, because I don't want to get all the way through melees through 99 defense and then realize that I hate that I hate the Ring of Forging method. So I'm going to give it a test. I might also test out a little bit of combat maging as well, sort of see how that goes. But that's sort of what the future is looking like for now. So, interesting new development within the general skilling space is that there's been a resurgence in the popularity of 1 hour records. So, for the longest time, the free to play CC clan had their own hour record system in their Discord, but not many people were doing it, and there wasn't really any proof system. It was just people uploading screenshots. So earlier this year, they decided to overhaul their hour record system so that people could submit new records, and it would require video proof. So before I ended off the general Telegraph Superheat, I wanted to give it one more go because I wanted to send a good record for both the hour and the 6 hour for a new tech regarding superheat smithing. So if you didn't see my most recent skill reference video, essentially there is a new way to do superheating which is a bit faster than the old way. So previously the fastest method was with snow. You could use the dwarf like I did, which was generally much easier in terms of not having to click as much. But because you sort of had to babysit the dwarf, both, at the anvil and sort of to and from the anvil, to and from the rocks, it was pretty annoying because you weren't able to start mining right away. You sort of had to wait for the dwarf to get into the right position, and then you could start mining efficiently. But with this new tech, you can cage the dwarf in at the rocks, which means that you can leave to go to the anvil, smith your plate bodies, and then you can return and get into mining right away. So this method was actually discovered by a guy named Please, his username being I have boob. Essentially, he's a new pay-to-play skiller who's sort of on the free-to-play scene now, and he's been gaming pretty hard. You should definitely check his account out. He also streams on Twitch and has a YouTube where he covers some of these new methods. But yeah, I decided that it'd be really cool to try to send this and see just how much XP I could squeeze out of it. I sent a few record attempts. I did get a new 6-hour record, being 188,000, averaged about 31.5k XP for the 6 hour. And then my best hour record, I did a 31,750, which is really good. It's not quite the 32k. I There's some tech that I'm just not that good at when it comes to run management, especially when I'm leaving the anvil. You're supposed to like drop 3 items, run, and then drop the next two in like the same game tick, but I'm not that good at that, so I was dropping and then running. But there's a lot of potential with this. It's really cool because it's technically faster than snow in the sense that when you were doing snow, you would still like need to spawn the snow at the actual rocks because you can only do it with the antlers and couldn't spawn the snow early. But with this now, it's really cool because you're mining right away, so you're right into that 5-tick superheat cycle. And yeah, it's a pretty cool method. And so, before I sort of cut off the last of my telegraph superheating, I wanted to do this and wanted to give it one last try before I sort of signed away any possibility of doing any smithing records. So it's sort of an open invitation for everybody to give this method a try, and definitely an open invitation to check out the free-to-play CC's Hour Record system. If you're interested as well, there is actually a brand new Discord that was created by Enjoys, who's one of the high-level pay-to-play stealers. And essentially, he made this Discord for anybody from any game mode, essentially, who's interested in setting hour records. There's a whole free-to-play section split between free-to-play Reds and free-to-play Ironmen. Me and Peen have a few records on there already, but I definitely encourage anybody who's interested in doing a solid hour of stealing to, record a video and upload it. Hour records are really cool because 6 hours is a really long time to be able to dedicate to doing a certain skill. A lot of the high level people have no problem setting 6 hours, but for most people, it's generally a really long time, and it's tough to get through a whole session. So it's definitely much more accessible for people who want to, look into setting records. So I definitely recommend everybody check it out. I'll leave a link to that Discord down in the description if you want to give it a look. So unfortunately, I'm going to be ending off this video on a bit of a down note. So recently, one of the top-ranking free-to-play players, Freckled Dad, caught a false ban. There's been a couple of false bans that have been happening throughout the free-to-play and just general RuneScape community for the past couple of months now, or really a couple of years. Several high-level free-to-players have caught in false bans. UI Pain, Chaotical free-to-play, Kakapoopoo, who is actually still banned and hasn't gotten his account back yet, among a few others. So this has been something that's happening. I don't really know why it happens. I'm guessing that every time they do like a major bot busting, they will generally look at like any account that has a lot of botting reports. And unfortunately, just in general when it comes to stealing, a lot of people will see you doing something that doesn't look like something a noob Iron Man would do, and they assume that it must be a bot because there's no way a real player would be clicking the game instead of just 10-minute AFKing. So what I'm thinking happened is that some people reported him while he was doing his weird combat prayer method that is efficient for Reds to do. He's someone who like generally has private off in game, so it's not like he's ever gonna like respond back to these people. And so I'm guessing that once that happens, enough of these reports will trigger a ban, and then just because Jagex doesn't really care about their player base in terms of providing like a customer support system, it's sort of up in the air on whether or not a real person is ever actually going to review the ban, which is just a really unfortunate reality, but it is something that we've seen happen. So definitely hoping to get this fixed. Definitely, if you follow Freck on Twitter, maybe share this, and hopefully we'll try to get a JMod to actually look at this. He got started in a Behemoth video like a few days ago, so hopefully that brings some attention. It'd be a really big hit to the free-to-play community if Freck was banned for good. just because he's somebody who like really pushes the free to play reg efficiency scape. He's the one who's like talked about a lot of methods, discovered a lot of methods. He's, pretty vocal in the stealing discords and, establishing what ep rates should be and all that. So I'm really hoping that we don't lose him because that would be a really big blow to just the general community of stealing in general. So we'll see. Freck was definitely a contender for the first free to play to 200 mil all. If he gets banned and he doesn't come back, then it seems like some other player like Bardo or free to play Agile might be the next to hit that mark, but we'll see. So anyway, hate to end off on a sad note, but thanks for watching, everyone. Feel free to catch me on Twitch. I'm generally trying to stream once or twice a week at least. Generally, it'll be in the afternoons after work. And I will talk to you all later. Peace.